Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at the S.H.Figuarts second form Frieza, and this is a P Bandai exclusive S.H.Figuarts. I was able to get it on the secondhand Yahoo auctions markets at roughly the same price as it was going for, which is good. And I have a feeling this figure is going to go up in value over the years because it is pretty damn cool. So this is the first Frieza that I'm really looking at so far. I have First Form Frieza and I have Final Form Frieza. I have two Final Form Friezas, and I'm looking forward to the third form. But I haven't actually looked at them intensely so far, so Second Form Frieza is the first one that I'm really looking at. No real particular reason why I'm doing that. It's probably more so that it's just a newer figure and I like the newer S.H.Figuarts figures. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Quickly, we'll go over the box. So you can see the window on the front with the main promo image. On the side, there's sort of those comic book panels. On the back, there are various promo shots of the figure showing the different accessories and posability, as well as just the clear window on the side with Second Form Frieza written on it. And then on the bottom is just one more promo image, Second Form Frieza. Makes it really easy to stack on shelves. And when you open up the side binder, it shows the rest of the main promo image, and I always like to unbox from this side because it just looks cool. So taking it out, you can see that it's actually pretty fully loaded with accessories. Not a huge amount, but enough that you can get quite a bit out of this figure. So we'll take it out of the shell and set it up and take a closer look. So here's S.H.Figuarts second form Frieza taken out of the box and just quickly assembled. And by quickly assembled, I mean I just chucked on the cut-off tail. And stands pretty well. The balance is quite good on this figure, and just has a pretty damn imposing presence. It just looks good. And one of the things that I've noticed lately with S.H.Figuarts is there's fewer and fewer instances of paint on the figures, which generally does make them better to play with and pose and things like that without worrying about paint chipping. But I can understand that it is a bit of a worry that you are sort of getting a cheaper figure. It doesn't feel as premium. And the same can be said for this figure here. There are instances of shading throughout, and all of the faces are beautifully printed and painted. I think that the purple gems on Frieza are painted, and I think that the browns on the sort of underarm armor and on the ankles is painted as well, and all of the fingernails are painted. It's just a little bit of paint. Not a lot. The little brown thingies on the sides of Frieza's head are also painted too. It's not a lot, which I can see being a problem for some people. It's not really a problem for me. I just think it looks nice. It's enough that it's just fine. There's multiple finishes on the figure itself, so it doesn't look like just a hunk of plastic, which is good. But generally aesthetically, it just looks good. I don't mind the lack of paint on modern S.H.Figuarts. I do think sometimes it is a bit of a drag, but generally I think it serves a better purpose. And I don't think it's really a detriment to this figure at all. And as you can see, it just looks good. The colors are on point, the body shape is fantastic, and even the pre-molded parts in the plastic just look good. Now taking a closer look at the face, you can see Frieza's beautiful, stern expression in second form. The head sculpt is absolutely fantastic. The detail work is just incredible on this figure. All of the Friezas that I've seen look fantastic, and the modern S.H.Figuarts that have more detailed faces just look incredible, and this is no exception. As well as the rest of the chest looks good as well. Just that sort of top profile of second form Frieza is just wide shoulders, imposing look, thick neck, giant muscles. Just, it looks so good. It's very Dragon Ball. Well, it's very Dragon Ball Z. And yeah, it just is such a striking figure. In hand, it does have a decent amount of heft, but it's not that much heavier than a standard S.H.Figuarts. Very similar to any other bulky Figuarts, probably a little bit lighter than most, like lighter than the Full Power Broly, and I think it feels a bit lighter than the Final Form Cooler as well. But in terms of posability, there's a ball joint at the head and neck, which allows for a massive range of motion. Frieza can look up that far and look down that far. And it's pretty unlimited. You can just basically do whatever you want with it, which is fantastic, especially for a big figure like this. The arm, moving a bit further down, the shoulder pad can move out of the way and the arm can move up that far naturally. Then there's a swivel at the upper arm and a bend at the elbow, and there's a ball hinge on the hand, which is pretty standard for S.H.Figuarts. There is a massive butterfly joint under the shoulder, and unfortunately it does break the sculpt quite a bit if you're looking at it from the side or the back. It's kind of ugly. I'm not a huge fan of it aesthetically, but functionality-wise it is pretty amazing, and you can sort of line it up in such a way that it doesn't look weird. Basically just not engaging the butterfly fully. Taking a look at the chest, there's a ball joint in the middle of the chest that allows for a bit of ab crunch and side to side. The little gem in Frieza's chest can move out of the way just a bit, and it sort of helps keep the sculpt in one piece. With the arcing back, they look up that far and down that far, which is pretty good. It doesn't seem like you can get that much, but you can get a pretty good amount. And then there's another little ab crunch at just above the waist, and allows for a little bit of swivel and side to side, which is pretty cool, and it keeps that sort of ab detail on Frieza, which is cool. They can kick up this far, and there's a double bend at the knees, but not a very, very deep bend. Like, it's a good bend, but it's not like the deepest. But the ankle bend, well, the foot bend is just insane. The ankle pivot is so-so, but if you use it with the bend, it's pretty great. They can move out to the side that far, so the splits aren't the best, but they can kick forward and back pretty far, so you can get some pretty decently dynamic poses out of this for such a chunky figure. So there's a hinge at the tail, and if you use the alternate tail, there's even more posability to be had, which is pretty cool. So I'm not doing a full size comparison, but you can see Frieza next to the other forms of Frieza, as well as up against Final Form Cooler, so you can see that they stand pretty much the same height, which is very cool, and dwarfs the other figure arts that they've released so far. Now, in terms of accessories, one of the main ones we've got is the cut-off tail and the sort of plug that you can just pop off of that and attach the full-length tail, which is cool. Krillin cut it off with his Destructo disc, and it's nice that they included the full-size tail and the cut-off one, just for cool little references and an aesthetic piece. The tail is massive and adds quite a bit of heft to the figure again, and you can sort of use it as an additional support, which is cool. Second Form Frieza comes with 4 faces, which is the stern basic face that they come with, sort of slight smirk, sort of playful grin. There's a laughing, yelling face. You can use it for multiple things, but it's mainly sort of like laughing. And then there's a teeth-gritted sort of angry face. And 2 of those faces are compatible with the standard head sculpt, and 2 are for the alternate head sculpt, which I'll go over a bit later. So the posability that I've gone over, I'm just going to show you some poses that you can get the figure into to really showcase how good this looks and what you can achieve with a little bit of effort. So there's just a stock standard pose with the non-cut tail out of it. This is shown on the box and in the promo art. Yeah, just looks fine. I do like that the purple of the tail does break up the sort of lower half of the figure just a bit more. Here we've got the sort of 2 chances pose, as well as the flying feet on Frieza, because you've got flat feet as well as flying feet. They're a little bit of a pain to swap out, and I don't know if they achieve that much difference, but I just don't usually pose my figures in flying poses, so I'm not too used to it, although I do know it's pretty standard on Frieza figures to include something like this. Even the cooler figure has that. So it's cool, and I do like the two finger pose. You can do a little bit extra with it, which is funny. So here's Frieza in a bit of an action ready pose, and this is using one of the flight feet, but one of the flat feet as well, and I think it does achieve quite a bit more, actually. If you don't use them for flying, I think you can use them really well for like attacking or martial arts type poses. You could even have Frieza stepping on someone, which is cool. I quite like that. If I had the Namek Saga Krillin, I would probably do like the impale pose. But yeah, I really like how they can achieve this without issue. Also works with really high kick poses, which is great. And if you rotate the figure just right, you can make the kick seem way higher than when I was doing the posability breakdown, which is great. This figure loves doing dynamic poses. One of the other things on these poses with the shouting faces, this is the alternate crown piece. You do get two different head sculpts. And for the first form Frieza, it's a little bit more obvious that one's for shouting and sort of like angry eyebrow sort of poses. The second form Frieza, it's not as obvious. There is a slight difference in the crown. I don't quite see it, but I think it is just like a touch wider, or the eyebrow bits are just angled just a slight bit different. But it's for the dynamic wider mouth shots, and there is a bit of an indicator underneath the head to show which one's which. I do like the laughing, yelling face. It's quite nice. Really shows how sort of second form was almost playing around with everyone, just because Frieza was just so much stronger than them. Second form Frieza also comes with the 4-star Namekian activated Dragon Ball, which is cool. They can sort of hold it, but not really. You could use the open palm blasting hands for it, but I just used these sort of palm ones. The open palm blast hands look good as well, super dynamic. You could use them for a bunch of different things, not just blasting, like this sort of landing pose that Frieza is, well, second form Frieza is sort of known for. It's a pretty iconic-ish pose and just looks really good. I'm glad that you can pull it off without issue at all, which is great. And then you can just use it as a regular blast hand, and the teeth gritting face looks good as well. So one of the cool things about the posability, as you probably noticed with Frieza, is that the shoulder armor actually has a little bit extra in it. So when the arms butterfly out or move around, it doesn't break the sculpt at all, which is cool. It'd be nice if they introduced something like this for future Saiyan armor figures. I know it wouldn't be super easy to implement, but I do think it's a more interesting thing to do than just a hollow gap or just seeing the arm underneath. So yeah, I didn't really have any issues with second form Frieza. They're just a really, really solid figure. No paint issues, no joint tolerance issues. Just really all-around good figure. Probably the only real thing is that it's a bit annoying to get it on a flight stand, just because the figure is quite bulky, so it's hard to sort of shift something around it to hold it up. It's more so something that's just standing on the ground with a little bit of extra support, which is also why I wasn't too sure about the flight pose feat. But if you can get it in the air with like a big clip, maybe not a standard Tamashii Nations stand, you might be able to get more out of it, but it can still clip on. It just takes a bit of effort. But yeah, overall, it's just a really, really solid figure. I know not all S.H.Figuarts have this much love and care put into them, but I am glad to see something that was effectively quite minor in Dragon Ball Z, like only for a few episodes really, is able to make such a great figure, and even in the series makes such a strong and lasting impression as second form Frieza. And like third form has even less of an impression on me, but is pretty aesthetically striking. So we'll see how that one turns out eventually. We've got a pretty incredible figure here, so I'm keen to see what they do next. I'm keen to play with the other Frieza figures, and yeah, it's pretty much solidified my decision to go all in on S.H.Figuarts, which is really cool. And yeah, it might hurt my bank account, but I don't regret it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.